Okay guys, I'm going to show you how I sew without pins, and this is a skirt. It's for a client, so it's a muslin we're doing a fitting with. So we're going to take a curved waistband here and put it on the skirt here so you can see, hopefully you can see, I know white on white is not the best, but anyway you can see how we have a curved skirt and then we have a curved waistband. What that means is they're going away from each other on the curve. So that's one of the harder things people have trouble with, grasping sewing without pins. And basically what you do is line your edge up, put your foot down, your needle down, and then as you sew, do the same thing you do when you would be pinning it. And that means just continuing to line it up as you go around. And if everything's cut out properly, and when you get to the end, everything will line up. So let me get it under the foot and get the camera focused in on it, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, let's get it under the foot now. I'm going to line up these two edges. And just let everything fall where it needs to fall to keep those two lined up. I'm sewing with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Stuff is so thin, flimsy, it can be kind of hard to keep lined up. Okay, so this is actually a little bit easier on an industrial machine because the beds are flatter and everything, so I'm using my Singer 9985 on this to kind of simulate what you do on your home machines. So I've got it set down on a table to help. It helps if you can get it fairly flat when you do this. So, alright, got everything lined up at the 1/2 inch mark at the beginning, and let's go ahead and back tack and start sewing. Okay, it's important to keep everything lined up, to grab the fabric like this once you have it lined up. So pull it just a little bit tight and then bring your hand up here and hold it like this, finger, thumb underneath, fingers on top with it clamped down. I don't want the feed dogs on the bottom feeding any more than the top. So I'm just going to hold it, keep a little bit of tension on it to get a good straight stitch. So here we go. Machines are so slow. I'm used to my industrial machine. See if I can speed this thing up some. Okay, I'm just aligning again. I'm looking under to make sure I'm still aligned, and I'm aligned to about right there. So I'm just doing it a little bit at a time. I'm about to where I'm out of a line again. So I'm going to raise my foot a little bit, scoot it over and line it up again. So we're lined up. Here we go. Becoming unaligned again. So just like if you were pinning. So now I'm paying attention to the end down here to make sure everything stays lined up. So I've got a hold of it, and it's going to pull the bottom a little bit more than the top because this has stabilizer on it, and that bottom is stretched out a little bit. So I've got everything lined up to the edge there. Here we go. Going around the curve again, lining it up. Here we go. Curving even more, realigning on the curve. Right about, come on, line up. About there. And I just go until I see we're at the point it's not lining up anymore. And that's when we stop and realign. So I need to raise the foot so I can move things around a little bit here. This is where I missed my knee left. Okay, there we go. And we can finish now. And you're going to look at the edges here and think that I didn't keep everything aligned, and I checked this before I did it, and this was just a little bit shorter again because this was interfaced early on and this wasn't. It stretched out just a little bit. So show you the back side of our seam. There's our seam. Everything's lined up perfectly on both sides. We're fairly close on the end here. I was having trouble keeping it lined up down there. When we got to this end, we're about where I was when I lined it up before I sewed it. So that's the way you do it. And when you press this seam for the belt line, the waistline I should say, that's what you're going to see on that side. So anyway, hopefully this will give you an idea. It's just try it. It takes faith, and remember, you're lining up as you're sewing exactly the way you would as you would pin it. But the difference is I don't have to take any pins out. I haven't had to stab my fabric with any pins, and it just saves time overall. When I do this on my industrial machines, I sew a lot faster, and so I can just go right through it and virtually align it as I'm going along, because the industrial feet have a little bit more pressure on them and stuff, and they keep things lined up good. So anyway, I want to do it on a home machine to kind of show you how to do it on a home machine. And again, have faith, get you some scrap fabric, give it a try. It doesn't take any long to get while at all to get the hang of it. One of the things I'll advise you on, sometimes when you're doing this kind of sewing, you'll have a tendency on the curves, depending on what they are, for this under fabric to try to push out of alignment. So when you do that, keep your hand under here, and as you're sewing, you can pull to keep everything lined up as you're sewing along, and when you're finished, you'll end up with a perfect seam, perfectly aligned. So anyway, I wanted to use something that seemed a bit more challenging than a straight edge to kind of show you, the process. And again, I've slowed it down immensely to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So anyway, give it a try, and have faith, and again, use scrap fabric, and after about 3 or 4 tries, I think you'll see that you can do this just as easily as I just did. And you'll be a lot faster, obviously, when you're not doing it on camera and things. You'll be able to kind of whiz right through it. So, but give it a try and let me know how it works out for you. That's it for now. You guys have any questions, let me know. Take care. Okay, I'll put some denim up here so you can see this a little bit better. So I went ahead and pressed the seam over. So there's that edge. You see how everything's lined up nicely there. This is the other edge over here, and there's our alignment there, and there it is pressed over for getting ready to join the waistband. So this is the outer portion of the waistband, and then I'll put the inner portion in, sew it in, and we will be ready to go. So anyway, I don't know that I could do any better if I pin that, to be honest with you, in the end. And it speeds up sewing so much faster, makes it so much faster and safer. So anyway, again, give it a try, and let me know if you have any questions.